50 years. Wow. That's a long, long, long time. I mean, a postage stamp when I started back in 1969 cost 6 cents. A pound of sugar was 12 cents. A loaf of bread was 23 cents. A quart of milk, 27 cents. A gallon of gas, only 32 cents. And a dozen eggs, 62 cents. You could buy a new car for $2,000. You could buy a new house for $40,000. And the minimum wage back then, in 1969, was $1.60 an hour. Simon and Garfunkel was singing A Bridge Over Troubled Waters back then. And the Beatles were singing Come Together. Neil Diamond recorded my favorite Red Sox song that year, Sweet Caroline. A couple of hit movies I remember, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, Hello Dolly. And people were watching shows on television like The Brady Bunch, I Dream of Jeannie, Hogan's Heroes, and Laughing. When I first started teaching here at St. John's, I was a 7th grade homeroom teacher. I was responsible for teaching history, science, religion, spelling, art, gym, penmanship, and music. No one ever said teaching in a Catholic school was easy. Penmanship and music were not my favorite subjects. My students have been complaining about my writing for 50 years, but if they complained too much, I would get even with them. I have been known to put history notes on the board backwards, upside down, and things like that. And as far as music goes, I never could sing well. My 4th grade Sister James Agnes, told me just to move my lips when we had a presentation. Just move your lips, Jay. You're throwing everybody off. I haven't let that comment bother me. I still sing in church. But come to think of it, no one's ever asked me to be in the choir at church. My 7th grade homeroom was where the 6th grade homeroom is today. The library was on the 1st floor next to the principal's office. There was no pre-K, there was no kindergarten, no music room. The cafeteria took up the whole basement. But the kids didn't eat in the cafeteria. They had to brown bag it and eat in the classrooms back then. I don't think the students have changed all that much in my 50 years. I was looking over some yearbooks recently, and they had pages like likes and dislikes. And it's the same thing. They like snow days, they like half days, they like class trips, no uniform coupons, study halls, gym, parties, having dances, gum, sports, and the opposite sex. Some of the dislikes were notes, and they put in brackets, especially history notes. They didn't like that. Uniforms, demerits, 500-word assignments, detentions, homework, rules, tests, report cards, and they didn't like all my many ties. And they said I had an evil eye. I don't know what they were talking about there. Gym was one of my favorite classes to teach when I was younger. I'll never forget the time I went out for a pass at Willett and ran into a tree. By the time I bent down for a ground ball, and split my pants. Does anyone remember the time I hit a baseball into the river, or was that just a dream? The drive-in from God's countries, also known as Swansea, has always been a pleasant one for me. I think I could drive Route 118 with my eyes closed. The only time I regretted the drive was during the gasoline crisis, if you remember that. Waiting in line for hours to get gas is not a good memory. Another bad memory was the time I went to the Boston Bruins game on a school night, and I parked under one of the overpasses, and the pigeon drop-ins covered my whole car. I didn't have time to get it washed before school, and the kids, the teachers all razzed me all day about it. I had to take the car through the car wash 3 times before I got it clean. History fairs have been fun, although some of my history tests weren't fair. I have been known to throw in some unusual questions, like William Pencil founded Pennsylvania, or my favorite subject is A, history, B, history, C, history, D, history, or E, all of the above. And I'm sure they all remember my essays. I always had one saying, why is history important? They like getting their tests back because I am the fastest corrector in the North, South, East, and West. That's a self-proclaimed title, I might add. But when they got it back, they didn't like me telling them it has to be signed and corrected. I remember all the April Fool's jokes, the Halloween parties, the history contracts, the school masses, the Greek gods, filling in for the janitor, prayer services, shipwreck, earth counting, class trips to Howe Cabins, the Baseball Hall of Fame, New York City, and Rocky Point. I remember all the Catholic school weeks, the values, the mission money, giving out Holy Communion and ashes, questions of the month, current events, reconciliation services, the Bishop's Relief Fund, no homework coupons, so-called musical ties, the May sessions we used to have, coffee milk, Stations of the Cross. I remember the map of the week, yearbooks, newspapers, saints of the day, school plays I have done. And I remember all the wonderful parents who have supported me over these 50 years, and the terrific men and women I have worked with. I guess it has been mostly women. Good morning, ladies, or you too, Jay, was one principal's familiar comment. Some people have asked me why I have stayed here for 50 years. Let me assure you it was not for the money. I really wanted to try to make a difference. There are many rewards in teaching at St. John's. The smiles on the faces of my students when they understood a new concept or received a good grade on a test. The thanks you received for giving extra help while listening to a problem, no matter how small. The homemade cards the children gave you that said, best teacher in the world. The little thoughtful gifts they made for you, like cookies or Christmas ornaments. The way they want to share their potato chips or candy with you at lunch or recess. The thanks you get when you help them when they are hurt or sick. The visits you get from former students who are now in high school, college, or even married and want you to meet their spouse and children. Speaking of spouse and children, I'm very thankful for my family. My wife has taught me many things. How to cook, although I did earn my cooking merit badge on my way to becoming an Eagle Scout. She taught me how to vacuum, how to make the bed, how to do laundry. Dale and I will also celebrate our 50th wedding anniversary on November 22nd. She has always been by my side through all the good times and bad. My son Scott is here, he's an accountant. His wife Kathy is here, she's a teacher at Somerset High School. My daughter Kathy is also a teacher, and her husband Garrett works for the town of Swansea. Our 4 grandkids are here, Camden, Kaylin, Madeline, and Ryan, and they keep us very busy with all their sports and numerous activities. I want to thank my firstborn son Mark, who taught me what courage really is. He suffered with hemophilia, yet he never let it get him down. He lived each day to the fullest. He rode dirt bikes, he played Little League baseball. And when he came down with AIDS, the St. John community rallied to support him. Teachers and students sent him over 200 cards, and Mark proudly displayed them on his hospital wall. And later, when Mark was feeling better, you gave us a trip down to the Cape, and Mark really had a ball. And many others sent donations to a fund for Mark, or arranged nice things for him, like a day at Fenway Park. I will never forget the compassion you displayed for my family and the continued support you gave us by attending our annual road race for 13 years and our scholarship barbecues. And I'm so proud that Swansea named a school after Mark Hoyle Elementary School. I want to thank everyone for attending today. St. John's has everything: a caring pastor, a wonderful principal, a dedicated faculty and staff, family involvement. We have academic excellence, we have values, we have discipline. No wonder I've stayed so long. What more could you ask for? May God bless you all, and thank you for coming.